another video in our Living a Simpler Life series, I guess is what we'll call this thing. Like if you have to have an automobile, then most states have an antique or classic automobile category, and go get you an automobile that's 25 years old or greater, right? So we're in 2011 now. We're going to go back to 01, 91, and then so 1986 or before vehicle, right? Old pickup truck, old Volkswagen, a lot of electronics in those Volkswagens. But and then you greatly reduce your title fee and your registration and your insurance, all three, if you're driving an old vehicle. And most classic vehicles or antique vehicles do not have to have an emissions test, right? Which is another $7 or $10 or whatever it is now, to put it, unless you go to DC. Washington DC, doesn't matter if it's a 1954 Ford mainline, the vehicle has to be inspected. So it just depends on where you live. And Brother Peter had a 1954 Ford mainline, Ford, a beautiful car, but they didn't want to pass it because the car had been dropped and it was below 14 inches to the bumper. And so Peter had to get a supervisor involved, and he looked at the car and passed it because he knows, he was telling, look at me or my brother, that, we're not out there to hot rod anymore and drive safely. I had a Volkswagen 68 Volkswagen Carmen Kia for over 10 years. Well, his mom's got it from mom. Her and her last life partner had a pair of them that they were going to restore together. And after he died, one of our uncles took one, and I took the other. And then rebuilt on overlease. An inexpensive car, you get a running car for $2,000 or less, right? In the case of Volkswagen, you can get an old Volkswagen and completely get it running, except for a fancy paint job for under $5,000, right? Whether you do the work or not. You have a very dependable automobile. Drive through snow or whatever with a Volkswagen. So then, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, got rid of the Carmen Ghia, sold it. So I got rid of all them fees, right? Titling the vehicle, which you only have to do once. The tax payment on it for the sale of it. Biannual registration every 2 years, and the insurance on it. Got rid of all in payments, which I had the insurance down to about $75 a year for an antique policy, right? Being a safe driver. Bought me a bicycle. Dutch style cargo bicycle, and put a 50cc motor on it, which is allowed under Louisiana state law. Under federal law, you're mandated to 750 watts on electric motor is allowed as a bicycle. So you put an assist motor, but 50 cc's, 2-cycle gasoline and oil motor, and it's still classified as a bicycle. So other than your $10 registration to the city of Baton Rouge to register the serial number of the frame, you don't have to have all them fees, right? an hour, which is fast as a bicycle is allowed to go here, unless you're in a sanctioned race. I can do 25 miles an hour on my bicycle, nearly keep up with traffic on most of the city streets here, you know, and you can't take it on roadways rated at 50 miles or over unless there's a shoulder, right? I can take it on Airline or Florida line as long as there's a shoulder. Which Airline and Florida both, for a lot of the way, have that little side roads or service roads, access roads. So there you go. You live a simpler life, get rid of your damn car, and get your bicycle. And if it's too much to pedal, then put your motor on. You know, electric motor you can get for right now, a good electric motor for around $400. You know, you can't put it on yourself. It does take some know-how and tinkering sometimes to get it all to fit and work right without killing yourself. And then whatever you do, if you're gonna get a bicycle to put a motor on, you can't use an aluminum frame. No, aluminum frame will just crack under the extra torque that the motor puts on the bicycle. So I got this chromoly, they call it chromoly frame, where it will crack. You should stress first before it breaks. I guess you can have an aluminum frame, you just can't have the front fork has to be good steel or carbon fiber. You can use carbon fiber. That's out of a lot of people's budgets to have a carbon fiber frame. Or if you go with a welder, you can weld your own frame up. You know. Build it. But the Chinese motor I had cost what, $135 18 months ago. Well, almost 2 years ago, I guess, I bought that motor. Now they're much less expensive for that exact same motor, and it lasted nearly a year before the fiber gaskets wore out and it started sucking air, and once the motor heated up, it started sucking air through one of the gaskets, and the combustion would stop. So I took it all apart, a lot of gasket set, new rings, and a ring tool. I could never get the second ring to drop in. I'd get the first ring to drop in. The second ring, it would hang up. The tool would let go a little bit, just a spring, kind of big Allen wrench, square Allen wrench tool. Square wrench, I guess, square wrench tool. Just wouldn't hold tight enough to drop that second ring, and I broke ring after ring trying to ease it in there. So now we're saving our pennies. There's two companies now, people are actually using these motors, I guess, make them in America, so we'll get an American made motor for like $350. Put that on there. I need a new rear wheel with 12 gauge spokes. That's $150 with the gears in the hub. And so I stripped spokes on the 14 gauge wheel with the gasoline motor torque. I lost three spokes. So really I can't put a motor back on it until I replace the rear wheel. I can pedal it, not hurt nothing, it'll be alright. If it goes over true, no matter. It's my work truck, it's my pickup truck. 2-wheel pickup truck. And then I gotta get a welder back here, and have a wheelchair I gutted and cannibalized and put together with the futon frame, and we're making a trailer that I can pull behind the bicycle with my next motor, and I can haul a piece of pipe or a short ladder or a heavy saw or something I can't put on the front and back and back, and that'll be exciting. I just work with basically a 3 or 4 mile radius is about as far as I go without my friend's truck. I go further, use the truck. We got hollow concrete. Learn to handle on my bicycle. I can carry my little tool pouch. Repair most things with just a little tool pouch and maybe a screw gun. Alright, well that's it for now. My nose is itching like crazy. Crepe myrtles are blooming and driving me nuts. Thank you for watching, and this is, well, we're trying to live a simpler life here. That's all we're trying to do, and be left alone. And that's all we're trying to do. All I'm trying to do, speaking of myself as a we. Okay, thank you, and have a wonderful day, please.